G'day team, it's Kris speaking. Welcome back. You may have noticed that my upload schedule is a little bit off at the moment, and that's because I'm getting married in 5 weeks' time. So it will be a little bit off probably for the next couple of months because on the weekends I'm running around picking up stuff for the wedding, and then I'll be on a honeymoon and it's going to be awesome, but I may not be uploading videos as often and I apologize. I will get back to regularly uploading after the honeymoon and all that is done. But speaking of weddings, what I want to talk to you guys about today is basically the wedding process as a transgender man. From my point of view, of course, nobody else's, but this has been my experience. And why I want to talk about this is because when I proposed to Rachel at the 12-month mark in our relationship, we knew that we would have a long engagement. When I proposed to Rachel, I'd been signed off on hormones, but I had not yet started. So I was being clocked as a lesbian most of the time. People closest to me were calling me by male pronouns and knew about my transition and my plans to medically transition, but I hadn't started to pass yet. Rachel and I started looking at venues pretty quickly. We wanted to make sure we secured a place which was right for us, and knowing that our styles vary a little bit, knew that it wasn't going to be just walk into a place and immediately fall in love with it, which it wasn't. We tried to look at some warehouse venues, we looked at some outdoor venues, and we ended up picking an outdoor venue that felt right for both of us. It was a compromise. A lot of things are when you are getting married. A lot of the time, she wins, which is fine. That's not what this video is about. But because I wasn't passing, a lot of people clocked me as a lesbian, and they talked to us a lot about all the same-sex marriages that they'd done in their establishment. And they were really excited and really happy for it, and I'm really, really glad that same-sex marriages are not a problem for people anymore, in Brisbane anyway. And they're all sort of happy, and they showcase all the photos and whatever. But it did mean that I had to come out to a lot of people and say, well, it's not a same-sex marriage. I identify as a male, but I know that you don't see that. But in 18 months' time, or 2 years' time, you probably will. I'm going to look different than what I do now. And having to come out to people over and over and over again gets exhausting. If you're transgender, you know that. But it was something that I had to do, and most people were okay with it. There are a few venues that didn't understand it. I don't think it's sort of super well known in Queensland anyway, still. And they were like, oh, okay, but still respectful. And that was fine. And the place that we ended up picking, we picked 18 months out from the wedding, and they've seen me change over time as we've gone to meetings to them and haven't bat an eyelid. They just needed to make sure the paperwork was there for their legalities, which is where the celebrant comes in. When we were looking at celebrants, I was looking for LGBTQ plus friendly celebrants in Brisbane, and I really wanted to find someone who had recommendations from people within the acronym, or just people that I knew who said that they were okay. We looked at a few, and we ended up going with a gentleman by the name of Paul Vogue. Now, I can't recommend Paul enough if you are in Brisbane and you are getting married as a transgender person. When we talked to him, he was like, yeah, cool, I've done a transgender wedding before. Like, I've got no qualms about it. Asked my name, asked my pronouns, and has respected them ever since the get-go when I didn't look like this and I didn't sound like this, which was excellent. He even said, look, I can help you with your paperwork. I know that sometimes it can be a little bit daunting, particularly if your name hasn't changed and particularly if your gender paperwork hasn't changed. Now, part of the reason that I wanted such a long engagement is because I wanted to be at least a year on testosterone, I wanted to get top surgery, and I wanted to get my gender paperwork changed. So that wasn't so much of an issue for me personally, but just having someone that knew and understood the process if I had questions was amazing. And like I said, I can't recommend him enough. Something else to think about is clothing. So if you are a suit wearer, getting fitted for your suit can be a little bit awkward, a little bit dysphoria inducing. For me, I didn't come out to the people that I got my suit from. I looked like this by the time, so I was being clocked as a guy, which was great. But I did have to get fitted because I am on the short side at 5'3". Most of the suits, if you're as short as I am, are going to need to get tailored. But it wasn't really an issue. When they measure the inseam of your thigh, you just sort of sit there like, it's not there, bro. Like, I don't have one. please don't go any closer. But other than that, it was all good. Again, very respectful. I don't think they know, so went stealth in that situation. That, I think, those are the big things when it came to getting married and the gender paperwork and just finding different places. But it is going to be a little bit weird, particularly if you are early in your medical transition, or you haven't started a medical transition, or you're not going to do a medical transition, but identifying as something other than you were born as. It's going to be a bit of an odd process. That was mine. I hope you gained something from it. If you have specific questions, then do let me know. I'll probably do another one of these videos after the wedding, just to let you know how the wedding itself went. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of it, then click on my face, which will be somewhere down on the screen, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, bye.